Hey guys, it's NCB Bryce Gallo here, otherwise known as xQc. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we will be checking out a epic battle between xQc, a very popular Twitch streamer, going up against the World Champion Magnus Carlsen. So xQc has an approximate rating of about 1200 elo, at least on chess.com, whereas Magnus Carlsen, the World Champion, has a FIDE rating of over 2,880 elo. Let's go ahead and begin this match. So we're going to have xQc with the white pieces, Magnus Carlsen will be playing black, and we have e4 as the opening move. Very, very common. Magnus Carlsen is going to open with a Sicilian. Knight to f3. Magnus continues with the Sicilian line, knight c6. xQc with a good bishop to b5. Very typical. Now g6 by Magnus Carlsen. I'd imagine that his plan here is to vienketto the bishop, but we will have to wait and see. So xQc will trade off this pawn. Now Magnus Carlsen does have doubled pawns, but xQc is now going to give Magnus Carlsen an opportunity to instantly undouble the pawns, which he takes immediately. In case you're wondering, on my phone right now I have the Play Magnus app, which is represented by Magnus Carlsen Age 30, so I am getting the Magnus Carlsen moves from the app currently. So we have castles by white. Magnus Carlsen thinking for a second, and he's going to vienketto the bishop, supporting his pawn here. Naturally a very good move by the World Champion. xQc goes ahead and challenges the pawn here, which pretty much just gives Magnus Carlsen the opportunity to either take or push the pawn ahead, and he's going to actually decide to push. Personally, I would have taken the pawn, but I'm not World Champion, so looks like I'm missing something here. Bishop e3, developing another piece. Magnus Carlsen does the same by developing his kingside knight, likely to castle very soon. xQc is looking to isolate this pawn here by moving his bishop to d4. We will see if that works out. Magnus is going to castle, and instead of taking the pawn, he's going to defend his own pawn. xQc is going to defend this loose pawn before getting a chance to go after d3. I do think this might have been better, just queen takes d3, unless I am of course missing something, but this looks quite good. You're defending the pawn. The queen is not under attack, so knight takes e4 doesn't seem to be that much of a threat. So Magnus Carlsen is still thinking here. He's going to play b6. xQc with a very interesting and kind of strange queen move. The idea is to, of course, target d3. Magnus is going to strike first against a minor piece, and xQc is going to trade. Magnus Carlsen likely is going to recapture with the bishop, but no, he's going to take with a pawn. Wow, voluntarily doubling the pawns and cutting off his own bishop. Very interesting. xQc getting a little aimless over here on the queen side, moving some wing pawns. Generally not a good idea, but we will see how this works out for xQc. Magnus Carlsen making a very standard king move, or rather a pawn move that will allow his king to get some movement in here. We have Magnus Carlsen moving his bishop to the other vienkettoed square, although this is not quite vienkettoed. He's just lining up his bishop on the diagonal. An excellent move. xQc is going to be moving the b4 pawn. Magnus is going to strike on the opposite side of the board. We have takes. Let's see how Magnus wants to handle this. Probably going to take one of these two. But actually he's going to take this. Wow. Seeing stuff all over the place. And, oh, very poor move here. We have takes. This hangs the rook over here, and Magnus is actually not going to take that. Instead, he's going to cause yet another threat, and xQc trades his knight off. Oh man, this just got crazy. Now this pawn here is actually going to be something that Magnus Carlsen can use to his advantage quite easily. As soon as that pawn pushes, this is a discovered attack on the queen, and that pawn is one square away from promoting. xQc is trying to get some counterplay here by moving his pawn, but rook b8 is a very logical move. Stops the pawn in its tracks. xQc is now backpedaling against the world champion. Things are not looking so good. Magnus finally goes ahead and takes this rook. xQc is going to move his knight into a spot where he can attack the bishop in a backwards fashion. But we are going to have a pawn advance by Magnus Carlsen, no fear, letting his bishop die in return for this pawn that is one square away from promotion. Very bold on the part of the world champion. Not too surprising, of course. Here Magnus sets up a cheap little mate in one threat. Quite hilarious. But clearly just testing xQc to see how he is going to respond. And xQc does play a good move. Magnus is going to pick up this pawn over here. xQc is trying to do something about this passed pawn here on d2, but there's really not much to be done. Magnus again setting up a mate in one threat, which xQc defends against. And now we have rook e1, a vicious trading move. xQc takes, Magnus takes and promotes to a queen with check. xQc takes the free queen, Magnus picks up another pawn, and according to the engine we have mate in 3. xQc has very little he can do here. We have queen g3 check. xQc is forced to move his king. Bishop a6 check again. And the only two moves are either queen to e2 or queen to d3. xQc plays what appears to be the best of the two, either sacrificing the bishop or just simply allowing Magnus to play the move that he actually did play. Oops, my apologies. And rook to b1 checkmate. A flawless game by Magnus Carlsen. Let's go ahead and take a look at the game report for this match. It was quite a one-sided match as expected, but definitely a very entertaining one. xQc managed to get plus 50. So that means above 50% accuracy, which is quite good, especially when you're playing against the world champion. Magnus Carlsen, not quite surprisingly, plays with 99+% accuracy. Remember, 100% accuracy would be a perfect game in the opinion of chess.com's top engine. If you guys would like some more content, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. I've got well over 150 videos there, from chess coaching to playing against subscribers to bot versus bot battle videos. Lots of great content there. And if you would like some written content, I am actually beginning to blog on my website, which is chessuc.com. Go ahead and check that out if you'd like to see some of my latest blog posts. And if you'd like to sign up for either tutoring one-on-one with me, or if you would like to check out my ebook, go ahead to my website and you will find all that great stuff over there. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.